Hello everyone, it is week 8B of our CSA shares. I'm Stephanie, your CSA coach, and I'm going to go over what we received in our shares this week, how to store each item, and possible ideas of what to use them for. So we'll jump right in with our lettuces. We have a bag of salad greens, best stored probably the way it is. Do not wash it until you're ready to use it. This is the first thing in this week's share that you really want to focus on using. So we're having it for dinner tonight. Stored in the fridge in plastic. If you want to switch it out for a Debbie Meyer green bag or a different type of plastic bag, but preferably unwashed. If you do wash it and don't use it all, then throw it in a bag with a paper towel or a cloth, a dishcloth, so that it absorbs the moisture, because we don't want the moisture to sit in the lettuce. It will cause the lettuce to go bad. So first thing you want to use this week is the salad greens. We also got head lettuce. So head lettuce, best stored in a plastic bag in the fridge, unwashed. If you wash it, same thing. Store it between, or store it with paper towel or cloth, so that that absorbs the moisture. This will last a little bit longer than our salad greens. Salad greens are best used with salads, obviously, that's hence the name. This we have a little bit more versatility with, so you can use it in salads, you can chop it up. You can also use the leaves as vessels for like burgers. You can do like a lettuce wrap with a burger. You could do lettuce wrap with your different egg salad, tuna salad, chicken salad, things like that. Or even like make like a veggie wrap. Chop it up and use it with tacos, anything you would use lettuce for. That's our head lettuce. So we also have dandelion greens. I believe this is the first time we've gotten them this year. Stored in a plastic bag in the fridge. Dandelion greens are a little bit bitter. So we can eat them raw, but you can also saute them. When you saute them, it's nice to add something to take that bitterness away, so something sweeter, or it pairs really well with like bacon. There's a recipe on the blog for dandelion greens. There might be more than one, but I'm thinking of one in particular. So if you're wondering what to do with them, hop on the blog and just type in dandelion greens. There's also a trick if you soak them in salt water for maybe 8 to 10 minutes, it tends to take some of that bitterness out. So if you don't like how bitter they are, then you can do that. If you're not going to use them, freeze them. You can make green cubes with them. They're phenomenal health-wise, so definitely combine it with something and try to enjoy them. You can throw them in smoothies too, just as is, or you can make the green cubes and enjoy them in smoothies also. So that's our dandelion greens. New this week is celery. So we're gonna notice that the celery we get from the share is a lot different than what we would buy in the store. We can use the entire thing. So we see lots of celery leaves. The entire thing can be used. So you can make like a celery salad. You can chop it up and just use it mixed in your salad. You can freeze and use in soups. Pretty sure there's a celery soup recipe on the blog. What else? You can use the leaves as like garnishes. You can use the stalks just like you would anything else, like you could do like a hummus dip. You have cucumbers this week, you have celery, you have carrots, so you can make like a hummus or a veggie dip and just cut those things up raw and serve it that way. So celery gets stored in a plastic bag in the fridge as is. If you're not going to use it all, definitely save your tops for veggie broth, because it's going to enhance your broths a lot. So it's just such a different flavor than we get from the celery that we purchase in the store. So that gets stored as is in a plastic bag in the fridge. We have torpedo onions. These are uncured, so we want to keep them in the fridge. Again, in a plastic bag, the entire thing can be used. So the tops are more like scallions, chop them up, use them as garnishes, use them on top of salads. You can actually grill the entire thing. The bottoms are more like an onion, a regular white onion. They're really pretty, so they're really nice to grill and add to salad, roast and add to a dish. This week, let me think of my recipes. So this week you could use the torpedo onions, and also next week, so I'm working on 2 recipes this week. These will be possibilities to add in. But just like you would any other onion. So you can use it to help flavor dishes. You can use it in sautés, you can use it in stir fries, definitely in soups. Any portion that you're not gonna use, we're gonna chop it off and throw it in our freezer bags for veggie broth. But stored just like this in a bag in the fridge until we're ready to use. We have tomatoes again. Tomatoes are great raw. They're one of my favorite things we get from the farm, and we'll see them a lot over the next few weeks. These are best stored on the counter. When we store them in the fridge, they tend to get mealy. Once you slice them, if you don't use the whole tomato, you do need to store it in the fridge. So use that within a day or two, preferably within a day. These are great sliced on sandwiches. You could do BLTs, or you could do cold cut sandwiches, or just as a, on top of a burger or things like that. These are great roasted. They're great turned into like a tomato soup. The flavor is just phenomenal. So lots of opportunities to make different dishes with the tomatoes. These will be showcased in next week's recipe. So tomatoes best on the counter. We have cucumbers. Cucumbers are best stored in our crisper drawer or in a bag. We love to enjoy cucumbers raw, so I'll chop them up and throw them on the table before dinner, or even as a side with dinner, and my boys devour them. In fact, the little Kirby cucumbers we do not peel, and I will just leave on the I'll wash them, and the boys will eat them just like this. You can pickle them. So there's quick pickles on the blog. There's a cucumber salad on the blog. You can add them on top of salad, or like I said before, you could make like a veggie dip, a hummus dip, and do multiple different vegetables that we got this week. So those get stored in the crisper drawer or in a plastic bag. We got new potatoes. Our new potatoes are not cured, so we want to store them in the fridge. These have amazing flavor. They are great grilled, so there's a recipe on the blog for grill packets. Or you can just slice them up and use like a cast iron pan or a pan that can go on the grill. We've done that several times just to kind of keep the heat out of the kitchen and not use the oven. We use our grill a lot. So grill packets, there's multiple recipes on the blog for potatoes in general. And depending on what type of potato we have in the share, it'll change up the flavor a little bit, but it's the same basic idea. The only difference is these are new potatoes, so they need to be stored in the fridge. You can store them, I'll store them like this. You can store them in not a plastic bag. Well, if you put them in a plastic bag, you want it to be able to open. You don't want to trap the moisture in it. It's best in like an open dish or like a paper bag. So those are new potatoes. This time of year, great to make potato salad. If you still have some fresh herbs left, so I know we've gotten dill, we've gotten parsley. If you're picking herbs from the pick your own herb garden beds, you can throw all different herbs into your potato salad. So that's an option as well. But there's a ton of other recipes on the blog for potatoes. Okay, we got basil. Basil is our one herb that does not like to be refrigerated, so we put it right into a glass of water and we leave it on the counter. Basil is amazing for caprese salad. Grab a handful, throw it into like a vinaigrette, and make a basil vinaigrette. We'll use this in next week's recipe. So we may or may not get it again next week, but this will last through then. So this will be an option to add into next week's recipe also. I like just doing basil and tomatoes, so you can certainly do like a basil pesto. I did do pesto with a lot of the basil that I had left, so my goal this week was to get rid of all of my herbs that I still had and preserve them. So in my dehydrator on the counter, which you might be able to hear in the background, I have parsley and dill going. And then I did a big batch of basil for, I did a big batch of pesto with my leftover basil, which I love to do in pastas or just as a topping on steaks and things like that, or just drizzling it on fresh tomatoes. So what I do is I make the pesto and then I put it into these silicone ice cube trays. And then once it's frozen, like this is frozen, I can deal with it now. I'll take it out of these silicone trays, throw it into a Ziploc bag labeled pesto, and then I can just pull however many cubes I need out for whatever meal I'm using. So an easy way to preserve and freeze. All right, 3 more items. We have squash, summer squash, lots of varieties. So our summer squash will be around for probably a few weeks. There's some great dishes and recipes right on the blog, so throw in summer squash and all of those will come up. There's lots. I know I've created a ton and there was more before I came along. If we got a lot this week, so I will not have time because we're going on vacation, I won't have time to make or use all of these. If you have some leftover from last week and you need to preserve, you can actually shred this, throw it, I usually shred it, measure it, throw it in a Ziploc bag, write down the measurements, and it's amazing for baked goods. You can use them as noodles, so you can use a spiralizer and use them as noodles instead of a pasta, so any sort of pasta dish. You can put these in instead. It's just a low carb alternative. They're great grilled, so super simple. Slice them into long strips or into rounds. Put a little oil on them, a little seasoning, and throw them right on the grill. That's an easy way to use them. So that's our summer squash. We have carrots again. So carrots are the one item this week, as far as I know, that we want to take the tops off. So as soon as you get them, before you throw them into the refrigerator, we want to take the greens, put them in one bag, throw them in the fridge, and take the bottoms and put them in another bag and throw them into the fridge. What'll happen is the greens will tend to drain some of that moisture and our carrots will become just not, like it'll pull the moisture, so they'll become limp and kind of floppy. Carrots are great raw, so we can shred them and put them on salad. We can just serve them as a side. These are really tasty. You can throw them into grill packets along with our potatoes, along with our summer squash. You can roast them. They're really good roasted. And in fact, these are organic. If you scrub them really good and get the dirt off the outside, you do not need to peel these. That's completely optional. You don't have to peel them. So lots of ideas for the carrot bottoms. Carrot tops, so you can throw this into your veggie bag, your freezer bag of veggie scraps. It can enhance your broth. You can use it just raw on top of salads. You can dry it just like you would like parsley and use it dried. I know there's a carrot top chimichurri recipe on the blog, so that's an option also. But again, separate. Cut these off, store the greens in one bag and the carrots in another. And last but not least is our fresh garlic. So this garlic is not cured, so we don't want to store it in a cool, dry place like we normally would. We want to store it in the fridge. You can either store it just like this, or you can peel, and it's super easy to peel because the skin is not papery like the cured version. So you can peel off all the skin and put the cloves into a jar and then put that in the fridge, or just simply put it in the fridge like this. The skin is actually usable, and there's a great, I I'm pretty sure Trisha posted it on our weekly email. There's a great way to use it, like along with toast, I think was the recipe. But you can utilize those. If anything else, don't throw it out. Throw it in your veggie scrap bag and it will help enhance your veggie broth. So that's our garlic. Again, your focus is to use everything from last week. What do you have left? How can you preserve it? How can you incorporate that stuff into meals within the next few days? And then focus on what you received this week, especially our salad greens. One quick announcement, and I don't have the sheet in front of me, I left it in the other room. There's a CSA bingo happening. So go back to the weekly email we received yesterday. If you don't have it, look in your junk folder. But every Monday, Trisha sends a weekly email. Along that email, in that email, is a bingo card. Print that bingo card out. And you will, over the course of the next 3 weeks, try to mark off different boxes and the bingo card. And then we will post our bingo cards at the end of the month. And there's instructions on how to do that. But take a look at that because there's lots and lots of different things, some that are easy, some that take a little bit more time. So you want to look through that and work on what can I mark off for this week's produce, or what can I do for this week's produce? And I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you are marking off a bingo card box because I'm pretty sure there's one that says watch a live video. So you can mark one off. All right, any questions or things that you are having problems with or not sure how to use, please ask us. We'll guide and help. And otherwise, I will see you next week. Next week's live, I am on vacation for a few days. We'll be on Thursday at 3. So instead of Tuesday at 3, we're just shifting it to Thursday at 3. I will be home by then. So just a slight alteration for next week's live. I will see you all later and have a great week.